Boat scam. In a fraud case, Mumbai cyber cell arrested Ragini Khandelwal, 52, and Mansi, a mother-daughter duo from India, on March 12, 2021. They reportedly scammed an Andheri businessman and embezzled approximately $12.5 million. The offer they made was to build a tugboat and a barge vessel during the lockdown. The duo promised the businessman $20,000 every month after helping him out with clients by renting out the vessels. Sushant Sheladkar, the 39-year-old businessman who works in the shipping and logistics industry, filed a complaint in October 2020 when he discovered that the accused had scammed other high-profile individuals, including a politician from Mumbai and Thane, by showing them the identical hull. Upon learning about the arrest warrants, Mansi fled to the United Kingdom before flying to Dubai and landing in Mumbai on January 1, 2021. Padma, Sushant's wife, also his lawyer, said that the duo had scammed her husband. The pair have scammed several other people for over $18 million after they illegally sold the same hull to these people. Mansi tried to escape by leaving the country, but they arrested her for violating the local quarantine laws. In the complaint, Sushant said he was looking for a tugboat and barge after applying for his company on June 18, 2020. He inquired about it on an online trading website. 2 days later, he received a call from Amir Khan, who further connected him with Ragini, a vessel maker in Kalyan. 9. Illegal activity. The police arrested a mother and daughter duo named Ramona Ramuta, 42, and Daniela Sinanan, 24, from the USA on prostitution charges on August 6, 2013. According to a police report, the two women advertised on Backpage.com's adult escort section. The post reportedly stated that Jasmine and Angel were waiting in Boynton Beach to rock your world with 2-for-1 discounts. Officers said neighbors saw many suspected Johns enter and leave the mother and daughter residence throughout the inquiry. Officers stopped a suspected John when he left the apartment in July of the same year. The police said that the individual admitted to the officers that he paid $100 for sex with Ramona and Daniela. According to the police report, on July 24th, an undercover officer called the contact number advertised on Backpage.com and set up a meeting with Jasmine and Angel the next day. The undercover cop went to the mother-daughter flat on July 25th and they offered him the 2-for-1 deal for $150. The officer handed Ramona $100 and told him he needed to return to his car to recover the remaining $50. Officers then entered the residence and took them into custody. They gave the duo bail after a warning. After a few weeks, the police received many complaints about the duo going back to their old ways. They arrested them once again under the same charge. 8. Exotic parlor. Police arrested Anne-Marie Dodge, 55, and her daughter Jennifer Lynn Dodge, 30, in August 2017 for operating an unauthorized sexual massage parlor out of their suburban home's carport. These two women posted an ad on Backpage.com. According to investigators, one of Anne's advertisements stated, "I am a beautiful, skilled, and licensed massage therapist that God has chosen to use to convey His healing energy to you and elevate you to a new level of bliss. I specialize in deep tissue, therapeutic, and energy massage." The police separately detained Jennifer Dodge the next day after they said she provided an undercover sexual favor for $200 rather than the $120 cost of a normal massage. In a live press conference, Officer Jessica Sullivan of the Sarasota Police Department said, "There was a carport on the right side of the property, and it almost seemed like they enclosed part of the porch, and that's where the massage and prostitution were taking place." The neighbors reported seeing 5 to 10 cars every day, with most of them being older white guys. Anne faced 2 felony counts of practicing medicine without a license and 2 misdemeanor counts of running a massage business without permission. They charged Jennifer Dodge with prostitution, and this wasn't her first one. According to court records, she already had 3 past prostitution offenses. 7. Homecoming scandal. Police arrested Laura Carroll, a former Florida assistant principal, and Emily Grover, her daughter, in 2021 for casting fake votes to help Emily win the homecoming. The duo denied the allegation in Good Morning America. In October 2020, they crowned Emily the homecoming queen at J.M. Tate High School But a few months later, they arrested both the mother and daughter, and they faced multiple felony charges because of acquiring fake votes. According to officials, Carol entered the school district's internal system while working as an assistant principal at nearby Bellevue Elementary School to submit false votes for her daughter to win. As the news release stated, they detected hundreds of votes for the school's homecoming court as fake in October. The investigation found 117 votes from the same IP address in a short amount of time. Investigators discovered indications of illegal access to the system connected to Carol's smartphone and computers at her house. They cast 246 votes from those devices for homecoming court. According to investigators, Carol's account viewed 372 high school data since August 2019, with 339 of those being Tate students. These documents contain personal information, such as medical histories and test results. They gave Laura and Emily 16 years in prison. In an interview with ABC, Laura stated she was shocked at how scores of fake votes were linked to her phone and her family's residence. 6. Fake doctor. Libby Adam, 51, and Alicia Gallas, 23, were both arrested on August 5, 2021 for an illegal butt implant surgery, which resulted in the death of 22-year-old Carissa Rajpal, an aspiring social media star. The couple, according to investigators, had been conducting cosmetic surgeries for years and were recruiting patients via Instagram. These things are done by people who have no training, no standards, and no contingency plan in case something goes wrong, said LAPD detective Robert Dinlocker. According to police, on October 15, 2019, both ladies allegedly conducted an outlaw buttocks enlargement surgery on Carissa Rajpal. According to investigators, neither lady had a medical license, and they did the treatment in a non-medical institution. The LAPD officers said that the ladies' technique involved injecting an uncontained, liquid silicone material into the body, which may enter the bloodstream and cause an embolism. Silicone should not be injected into the buttocks or breast, said Dr. John Timothy Kansen, a cosmetic surgeon. The two women had performed the surgery on Carissa for the third time. According to the LAPD, Libby and Alicia phoned 911 to assist Carissa, but then fled the scene without identifying themselves or informing the paramedics what had happened so they could treat her properly. She died in the emergency room, and physicians did not know the duo had given her a silicone injection. According to investigators, the accused had been providing these treatments out of their homes since 2012 and charged approximately $14,000 for 3 sessions. Other clients have reportedly called the police to claim they're experiencing various issues because of the surgery. 5. Not Victoria's Secret. The police accused Maria Corina Perez, 38, and her daughter Melissa Susana Partida, 19, from Los Angeles, California, of stealing thousands of dollars in products from Victoria's Secret stores during a 2-year period. According to police records, both the mother and daughter duo allegedly used a well-practiced strategy to steal almost $250,000 worth of products from a renowned lingerie retailer. The investigation began when police claimed that a string of 5 thefts occurred at the retailer's locations in Oxnard and Thousand Oaks over 4 months, resulting in a loss of roughly $15,000 in goods. Each time, the procedure was the same. 3 people, 2 ladies and a female teenager, would enter a store with a baby stroller and load it with stuff. Then one person would divert attention away from the salesperson as the other 2 pushed the stroller out of the store. After examining surveillance footage and other evidence with Victoria's Secret loss prevention, police could identify and locate the culprits. The 3 also traveled to the Bay Area, where they committed a series of thefts from Victoria's Secret stores using the same tactics, according to Thousand Oaks cops. According to the business, they suspect the team of stealing $250,000 from the merchant stores. They took all 3 into custody and charged them with commercial burglary. They also charged Melissa with 2 counts of assisting a juvenile in delinquency. 4. The wrong target. On February 6, 2017, Xiomara Quintanilla, 45, and Jennifer Quintanilla, 17, police arrested a mother-daughter duo in Houston after they charged them with assaulting a loss prevention officer and stealing from Target. According to a security video obtained by Harris County Precinct 4, the video showed them putting stuff in a shopping cart and exiting Target without paying for them. Before they exited the store, a loss prevention officer attempted to stop them. They detained the girl without incident. However, as the daughter was being arrested, the mother reportedly began throwing stuff from the basket at the loss prevention workers. According to authorities, the mother then allegedly approached one of the shop cops and smacked her in the face. The mother ran to her parked car, but deputies stopped her in the parking lot before she could escape. On January 1st, 2022, another incident of assault and theft happened in North Las Vegas, where the mother-daughter, Lenora Richard and Latoya Walker, barged into the victim's house and tried to change the locks. The duo pushed the victim and went into the house when asked to leave many times. The victim stated Lenora began pulling her hair, scratching her, and punching her in the face before the ladies escaped with a safe and further belongings. Lenora also entered a room and removed a dresser drawer containing 3 old wallets, but the wallets were empty, according to authorities. A third suspect assisted the 2 ladies in changing the locks, which Lenora later said was a locksmith. 3. Crazy and thoughtless duo. Deputies arrested Rachel Dungan, 38, and Lillian Shoemaker, 20, in 2019 in the USA for shooting Lillian's boyfriend multiple times. Deputies learned the victim was at home with Lillian when Rachel arrived. According to investigators, he stated that they all left the residence, with him following the 2 ladies in his vehicle. According to Sheriff Mike Azell, Rachel was driving the vehicle carrying Lillian, and Lillian began shooting at the man. After being shot, the victim returned home and dialed 911 for help. The deputies discovered him with several gunshot wounds when they arrived at the residence on Highway 63. They sent him to hospital for treatment of non-life-threatening wounds. U.S. Marshals apprehended the mother-daughter duo on August 18, 2019 in Mobile County, Alabama. Both of them faced charges of severe assault. On February 25, 2019, in the U.S., police arrested Shana Decree and her husband Dominique Decree for murdering 5 of their relatives, including 3 children. The duo killed Shana Decree's children, Nara Smith, 25, Damon Decree Jr., 13, Shana Decree's sister, Jamila Campbell, 42, and Campbell's 9-year-old twin daughters, Imani and Erica Allen. Around 4 p.m. on February 25th, Bucks County Children and Youth staff paid an unannounced visit to the Morrisville apartment, which led to the discovery of the crime scene. The caseworker instructed an apartment complex maintenance worker to look inside when no one answered the door. When the worker entered the flat, he found it in utter chaos. The duo denied it at first and said that 2 unknown men killed the victims, but later confessed with a new, twisted story. 2. Money heist. Police arrested Norma Edwina Cisneros and Tina Guerrero for robbing a bank in Westminster on October 11, 2011. After scaring tellers with a bomb, the mother and daughter duo reportedly robbed the bank. The mother informed 9 News that she had no clue that her daughter had walked into the bank. She told the news station, "All this time she was looting a bank, and I didn't know." According to Trevor Matarasso, a spokesperson for the Westminster Police Department, officers were called to the TCF Bank at 72nd Avenue and Federal Boulevard on a hold-up alert at 4:40 p.m. on October 11, 2011. According to witnesses, Tina, 31, saw them entering the bank with a duffel bag and claiming there was a bomb inside. They saw no additional weapon, according to witnesses. Tina reportedly stole an undisclosed sum of money before sprinting out of the bank to a parked beige SUV driven by her mother, Norma, 53. An undercover cop saw the SUV leaving the bank, who was in the vicinity for another investigation. According to Matarasso, the cop gave other officers a description of the SUV. They discovered the SUV and stopped it around 75th Avenue and Broadway. They apprehended Norma on the spot. However, Tina fled from the vehicle, but they discovered her later hiding in a neighboring apartment complex's laundry closet. They apprehended her without incident. On October 14, 2011, prosecutors charged Norma and Tina with robbery. 1. Credit card theft. Police arrested and apprehended Barbara Duncan, 53, and Amber Morgan, 28, a mother-daughter duo, in relation to mail thefts in 25 Indiana counties. They discovered the two in a motel in Seymour, Indiana, with many bundles of mail, including anything from identification cards to bank letters to credit cards and more. For months, police from Winnemac to Evansville had been receiving reports of mail theft. One resident could describe a vehicle that was subsequently discovered abandoned. They found a hotel bill inside that led them to the culprits. They'd stolen the car. Benjamin Turner, a theft victim, claimed he discovered his car's tag was missing when he woke up. "I assumed maybe I dropped it or it fell off the back of my car," Turner stated. "But when I questioned my father later, he said it was definitely stolen and I needed to report it." On Friday, they discovered Turner's tag on a similar automobile trapped in the snow among multiple mailboxes on County Road 340. Officers claim the couple had a laptop and were attempting to access bank accounts using information from the letter. They already had several credit cards in their possession that they were utilizing to make transactions. According to one victim, one of the ladies ripped up mail and then threw an empty envelope and other objects from her car as she drove away. Sheriff Michael Carruthers of Jackson County even discovered his brother's stolen letter among the evidence gathered.
Number 10. Faking a hate crime. Actor Jussie Smollett was in the hit show Empire. It seems he's a terrific actor on and off screen. He was found guilty of lying about a hate crime in Chicago back in 2019. 2 years after the hoax, when his life finally caught up to him, he was sentenced to 150 days in jail and forced to pay a fine of $145,000. He was found guilty on multiple counts, all having to do with lying to the police, lying about being the victim of a hate crime, and falsifying police reports. It all started on January 29th when Jussie Smollett told the police a pair of masked men approached him at 2 o'clock in the morning. They hurled racist and homophobic insults at him, punched his face, sprayed him with an unknown chemical substance, and tied a rope around his neck. The way he described it, the crime sounded absolutely heinous. The next day, Jussie was the center of attention. Dozens of the world's most famous celebrities sent him good wishes. His name was on every Twitter account, and his picture was on every news station. But then something strange happened. The police wanted to check his phone to help with their investigation of the attack. He refused to hand it over. A few days later, the Chicago police released photographs of 2 people they believed to be involved in the crime. The day after that, Jussie says in a rather bizarre statement that he's the gay Tupac. Things were getting weird. On February 14th, 2 people were arrested and interviewed by the police, but no charges were put against them. 6 days later, the police charged Jussie with disorderly conduct and filing a false police report. They learned Jussie had paid 2 men to stage the fake attack, while also sending himself a racist letter to Fox Studios. It was all part of an elaborate plan to gain sympathy from the Hollywood community to help boost his career. Number 9. Lying about a disappearance. Christmas of 2017 saw Timothy Upsgrove taken into custody after a search for his missing wife ended fruitlessly. After searching for days and days, the police finally located Laurie's corpse in a wooded area of Titusville. She had been manhandled to death by Timothy following an argument the two had. Let's back it up to the day it happened. The couple had gotten into a fight just before Christmas, which also happened to be their 1-year anniversary. Timothy initially told the police his wife drove away from the home they shared together and never came back. This is what led to the search, which went on for nearly a week. The whole time, Timothy kept lying about his wife. He said nothing happened. She had simply driven away in a huff and should have been back by now. But after a week, Timothy couldn't take the lying anymore. He knew he would be caught eventually. He told the police that it was him who killed her and that he had dumped her body in the woods. Then, with his help, police were able to find Laurie, ditched near the back of a storage facility in the forest. The Florida man was then charged with murder for the horrifying death of his 51-year-old wife, Laurie. Number 8. Faking special needs and tricking babysitters. A man named Rutledge Deus IV was already on probation for lying about having special needs in 2019, when he was arrested yet again in 2021. You see, Rutledge posed as his fictitious brother in order to trick babysitters into changing his diaper. Yes, you heard that right. This fully grown Louisiana man has been charged multiple times for pretending to be a person with special needs, specifically to con babysitters into handling him like a toddler. He just really enjoys it when women change his dirty diapers. According to the Louisiana State Police, Rutledge faced charges of human trafficking back in November of 2019 when he was caught the first time. He was given 5 years of probation and community service. The police started their second investigation in December 2 years later, when it came to light that Rutledge was texting babysitters and trying to get them to solicit other babysitters to visit his home. He was trying the old word-of-mouth strategy. But he was also caught going online and recruiting professional home health workers to care for an 18-year-old brother named Corey, who didn't exist. When these health officials showed up, Rutledge would pretend to be his brother with mental disabilities. It was also that he could get himself off while his soiled diapers were being changed. It was the most bizarre lie to get caught in, and one of the weirdest cases in recent memory. What's even crazier is that Rutledge got away with it on at least 10 separate occasions. Last we heard, he's being held on a $25,000 bond and is facing more human trafficking charges, plus 5 counts of violating his probation. Number 7. A corpse at the post office. On January 21, 2022, a pair of men walked into a post office in Ireland's County Carlow with a fresh human corpse. They carried the dead person into the post office, supporting the dead weight between them in a desperate bid to claim the deceased man's pension. It started earlier in the day at 11:30 when one man asked if he could collect the pension from an older man, but he was refused, with the staff at the post office saying the pensioner had to be present for the money to be given over. The man then returned with the pensioner and another guy, but the employees at the post office were pretty aware that the older gentleman was dead. I mean, it was obvious they were holding him up. They weren't fooling anybody. Still, the men lied through their teeth in their attempt to get the deceased's pension. They were desperate for his money and hoped the staff might not notice the horrible stench coming off him. But they did. The alarm was raised, and the 2 liars ditched the dead guy on the floor of the post office and ran away. Number 6. The Secret Dominatrix. Ekaterina Plotnikova went missing in Russia in early 2021. Throughout the entire time she was missing, the police never really suspected any foul play had been involved. Or rather, they were too lazy to do any real investigating. It wasn't until her body was discovered buried in a forest in rural Siberia that her disappearance turned into a murder case. She was found underneath the dirt, buried under a heap of rubble and wrapped in bedsheets. Clearly, Ekaterina had been killed. But what truly shocked her mother, Larissa Plotnikova, is what the police uncovered during their investigation. Ekaterina had been working as a dominatrix in the Siberian city of Novosibirsk. She had gone under the alias Mistress Stella and had been living a secret life nobody in her family knew about. Police learned Ekaterina had gone on a trip with a client around the time of her disappearance and even managed to retrace her route. But because 5 months had already passed, they had lost a significant amount of time. Her mother is now accusing law enforcement in Russia of being inactive. The truth is that more could have been done if her daughter hadn't been lying about her profession. Ekaterina had convinced her mom she was working in a beauty parlor and providing electrolysis services. If her mom had known that she was a dominatrix, she probably could have pushed the police into doing their jobs a bit better. As it stands right now, the killer is still at large. Number 5. Death on the bridge. A Florida bridge tender has gotten into some major trouble for lying after she accidentally killed an old woman in February of 2022. The 79-year-old woman named Carol Wright had been trying to walk across the bridge when Artisua LaFay Polk lifted it without checking to see if anyone was in danger. Carol just so happened to be at a point where she couldn't go forward or back, and as the bridge rose, she lost her footing and fell off and died. Artisua has been deemed criminally responsible for her death. She's also gotten in trouble for scheming with her supervisor to cover it up. This happened at Royal Park Bridge in West Park Beach, Florida. An investigation by the local police revealed Artisua initially lied about the circumstances surrounding the victim's tragic and untimely demise. She had even deleted text messages between her and her supervisor, as well as surveillance video showing her being negligent of her duties. She pushed a button to raise that bridge without checking, and her lack of oversight took away of life. Then, she had the audacity to lie about it. She's now facing 15 years in prison. Number 4. Crazy Katie. Katie Sorensen gained international fame in December of 2020 when she appeared to have thwarted a kidnapping plot in the middle of broad daylight. Katie, a Sonoma native, called herself a mom influencer. She posted a video on social media claiming a man and woman attempted to kidnap her 2 children. It supposedly happened in the parking lot of a Michael's craft store about 40 miles, 64 kilometers from San Francisco. Katie claimed the couple creeped up on her in the parking lot, leered at her and her children, and gave her the heebie-jeebies. The couple then followed her into the store, trailed her through the aisles, and pursued her all the way back to her vehicle. Katie claimed they were about to snatch her kids when she started screaming wildly for help. Luckily, the couple got scared and ran off. At first, it sounds like every parent's worst nightmare. This woman seemed like a target, like the potential victim of daylight kidnappers. But here's where things got really bad for Katie. The police tracked down the 2 individuals she claimed were trying to steal her kids. They were identified by the police as Sadie and Eddie Martinez. After the cops started investigating, it became clearly clear Katie wasn't telling the whole truth. Sadie and Eddie were at the craft store to buy Christmas decorations. They just got unlucky and parked near Katie, who didn't like the look of them. They believe the false allegations were racially motivated. The police believe it was a calculated and orchestrated event. In other words, Katie lied about the whole thing, knowing Sadie and Eddie had no intention of kidnapping her kids. It was an effort to stir drama in the community and create a greater division between the races. In the end, it majorly backfired. Katie is now facing jail time for lying about the kidnapping. Not to mention, she's become a social pariah. Number 3. The Sibling Scammers. A brother and sister criminal duo have gotten into some very hot water for defrauding investors out of around $124 million. The siblings, John Barksdale and Tina Barksdale, lied to investors for years over the value of their multi-level marketing company called Ormeus Global SA. The company was supposedly profitable mining cryptocurrency. They had 20,000 investors between January of 2017 and October of 2021. But here's the thing. Their company was worthless. They tricked everyone into believing it was making a fortune. Their investors poured those millions of dollars straight into their pockets. Then the siblings used the cash for luxury travel, to buy houses, and to just live generally awesome lives for 4 long years. As of right now, the siblings have been charged and are facing 65 years in prison for fraud and conspiracy. Number 2. Faking terminal cancer. A North Carolina woman lied about having terminal cancer so that she could collect funds for medical expenses she didn't need. Her name is Michelle Lynn Stultz, and she's facing 4 counts of obtaining property using false pretense. According to the Iredell Sheriff's Office, she went on a campaign to raise funds after claiming to have been diagnosed with cancer. The cancer was supposed to be terminal. She went to churches, she made a GoFundMe, and she reached out to people in her community. She ended up raising quite a bit of money, but she never got to spend it. In August of 2021, one of the victims of the scam, someone who had donated roughly $4,000, realized the diagnosis was falsified. The victim was so angry that they reported the crime to the police. The cops were able to dismantle the entire operation in no time. When they started looking into it, they realized Michelle already had a criminal history of forgery and misdemeanor larceny. She was already a known liar, so it was easy for them to shut down her fake cancer operation. They never did say exactly how much money she stole, but it doesn't matter. She's going to have a hard time spending it from the Iredell County Detention Center. Number 1. A bizarre catfish scheme. A woman in Houston was arrested in December of 2017 for pretending to be her ex-boyfriend online. It was part of a weird catfish scheme in which Lisa Marie Garcia wished to frame her ex for a crime. She impersonated Brandon Barrott on social media, sending threats from his fake profile to herself. She created a fake Facebook, a fake Instagram, and even managed to get fake phone numbers, all to send threats to herself in an attempt to frame Brandon. What's truly amazing is that her scheme worked. Lisa's lying actually got Brandon arrested 8 times and fired from his job. Every time Brandon was arrested for threatening her on the internet and then let out of jail, she kept on with the scheme. But in the end, Lisa milked the scam too hard and got caught. She was then arrested by the Houston police and is facing some serious charges of bribery and online harassment.
Number 10. Bad teacher. A high school teacher in Florida was arrested in February 2018 after getting into a fight at a baseball game. Perhaps the most shocking part about this story is that the woman wasn't in an argument over which team was better, or even anything to do with the game she was watching. Instead, she got angry with another mom attending the baseball practice because her shorts were too short. Clearly, this teacher does not like short shorts. Her name is Terry Lee Coursey, 37 years old. Terry was suspended from her position at Clay High in Green Cove Springs after her arrest. According to the victim, Terry started the confrontation by criticizing her choice of clothing, or rather lack of. What could have been resolved with words then spiraled out of control and escalated to violence. Terry launched herself at the victim and punched her in the face. Terry was so upset that this woman would show her legs at a baseball game that she bludgeoned her face with her fists like a disgruntled animal. We're sure we can all appreciate the irony in that. But it was a real shame for the victim. She was bruised, cut, and wounded at a sports match for no good reason. Terry's insane outbursts had her lose her job and end up in the back of a police car. Oh yeah, and she was publicly shamed. Number 9. Brawling at the Steelers game. Almost everyone has seen the viral video of 2 people being beaten up by one man with a heavy fist at a Steelers game in the summer of 2021. This has got to be the most watched video of a fight at a football match in recent memory. If you've ever wondered what happened to those people in the video, you're in for a treat. First, let's describe what happened for those who don't know. The clip is short, but shows a woman who seems to be drunk getting belligerent with a man seated in front of her. He remains calm while the woman screams in his face. At least he's calm until she slaps him across the mouth. He cocks his fist back in defense. Another man jumps into the picture and tries to hit him, and that's when he lets his fists fly. He beats the woman back and the other man too, and then walks away as calmly as he possibly could. Clearly, this is not somebody you want to be fighting. According to the Pittsburgh Police Department, they managed to track the woman down and issue her a citation for disorderly conduct. Even though she already paid for her belligerence with a punch to the face, she'll now literally have to pay money to the government for it. Number 8. The Hillsborough Stadium disaster. On April 5th, 1989, one of the worst disasters in sports history unfolded at Hillsborough Stadium in Sheffield, England. It was the semi-final match between Liverpool and Nottingham Forest. Just before kickoff, in an attempt to settle down the crazed sports fans who were overcrowding the turnstiles, the police match commander ordered exit gate C to open up. There were too many people outside, and so the commander let them flow into the stadium. What happened next was terrible. An influx of Liverpool fans rushed into the pens, resulting in massive congestion, panic, and horrible chaos. People were crushed against steel fencing, trampled, and torn apart as if they were in a drunken mosh pit. In the chaos, 700 people were injured and 96 Liverpool fans died. they were trampled over because there wasn't enough room inside the pen. It was absolute pandemonium and the biggest death toll in British sporting history. People were literally shoved against the mesh fencing at the front of the pen with such unbelievable force that they were killed. Imagine someone pushing you against the fence so hard that you died. It's horrible, but that's what happened. Nobody was spared, with the victims being identified as between 10 and 67 years old. 37 teenagers tragically lost their lives during this upsetting incident. One thing that did come of this was reform. Standing sections at stadiums were taken out and replaced by seating areas. The fences around the field were removed, and other general safety rules were put into effect. It doesn't take away the loss of life, but at least this kind of thing is less likely to ever happen again. Number 7. Violence in Sweden. As you may already know, sports violence is not specifically American. It happens everywhere, even somewhere as peaceful as Sweden. In 2014, on March 30th, a middle-aged man was assaulted near Helsingborg's Olympia Stadium. It was the first day of the new season, about 2:30 in the afternoon. The victim was a fan of Stockholm's Djurgården. The victim got into an argument with fans of the opposing team before the game even started. The fans of Helsingborg clubbed him over the head with an object and then left him in the street to die. The victim was found, taken to the hospital, and died shortly after. The game was then stopped after just 41 minutes, with the score tied 1-1. It created quite the uproar and devastated the community. What's really bizarre is that Sweden, although one of the countries with the lowest crime rates in the world, has one of the highest rates of sports violence. Usually, it's just brawling in the street. This was the first fatal episode of fan violence since 2002, when a different man was beaten to death in Stockholm. What's the worst incident of fan football violence that you've ever seen? Let us know about it in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe before the end of the video. Number 6. Mob brutality. A Brazilian mob killed a referee in one of the most brutal sports-related slayings of all time. It happened on June 30th, 2013. It was an amateur game in the Brazilian state of Maranhão. Referee Octavio da Silva flashed a red card and tried to kick one of the players out of the game. The player was Josenir dos Santos. He didn't think the referee was being fair and didn't want to get off the field. This resulted in a shouting match between the two. In most games, the shouting would have gone on until the player grudgingly left. But the referee took it to a whole new level of violence. He pulled out a knife and stabbed Josenir dos Santos right there on the field, in front of the spectators. You can probably imagine the pandemonium that erupted after. Just think if a referee stabbed your favorite player in the middle of a match. The fans would go crazy. And that's exactly what happened in Brazil. It was mob mentality at its absolute worst. Fans flooded down from the stands and onto the field, throwing stones and screaming. They cornered the referee, beat him to death, and then pulled his head off his body. It was utter barbarism, like something you might expect to see in the Colosseum in ancient Rome. The angry mob then took his severed head, plunged it onto a stake, and shoved that stake in the middle of the field, like a barbarian flag. At the end of the day, obviously none of this should have happened. The referee should never have stabbed the player, and the fans should never have decapitated him. It was the epitome of rampaging sports fans gone terribly, terribly wrong. Number 5. An accidental tumble. In 2016, after an exciting football game between the Denver Broncos and the Houston Texans, a man leaving Denver's Mile High Stadium died. It had nothing to do with fan violence. Instead, he tumbled off the stadium's north side and plummeted 50 feet to the ground. According to the Associated Press, he was discovered near Gate 5 just before 10 o'clock at night, then pronounced dead upon his arrival at the Denver Health Medical Center. How could such a devastating tragedy have occurred? Stadium management said that he fell over a stairwell, completely by accident. And while this may shock you, this was not the only tragic falling death at a sports game. In 2013, a fan fell off an escalator at a preseason game at the same stadium. Then in 2015, another fan fell between the concrete stairwell landings while trying to catch a hat. Clearly, Denver Stadium needs some better guardrails. It's also not only in Denver. On August 12, 2013, a fan died at Turner Field after falling 85 feet. In 2008, a man died in Atlanta during a game against the Mets by falling down a stairwell. There are so many falling deaths that happen in sports games in the US, it would take me all day to keep listing them. Number 4. Riot in Egypt. There have been some pretty brutal sports riots over the years, but nothing quite as violent as what happened in Egypt in 2015. A riot broke out at a major soccer game, resulting in a fight between the police and the fans, with over 25 people losing their lives. This wasn't the first time such violence broke out in Egypt either. The country is notorious for revolting after sports games. In 2012, yet another riot broke out that saw 74 people dead. The brutal fighting in 2012 involved fans from two rival teams, the Al Masry and the Al Ahly soccer clubs. They rushed towards one another on the field with rocks, knives, and even swords. According to CNN, 11 fans were sentenced to death for their involvement in inciting the deadly riot. The more recent riot in 2015 was less deadly, but no less horrifying. It started just before a match between the Egyptian Premier League clubs, ENPPI and Zamalek, at the Air Defense Stadium just outside Cairo. Security officials said it began when Zamalek fans rushed into the stadium without buying tickets. There was a flood of insane fans pouring into the entrance and rushing through the stadium. The Zamalek fans were met by fans of the opposing team. It turned into a mob-on-mob battle and even spread outside the stadium. Roads were blocked, buses were lit on fire, people were shooting at police cars. It was absolute insanity. The fighting didn't end until riot police showed up and finally dispersed everyone with tear gas. Number 3. Extreme lengths. Kevin Clayton was a major fan of the University of Arizona Wildcats, the men's basketball team. He never missed a game, no matter what. In December of 2017, Kevin had a business trip which would take him to Wisconsin. Once he settled down in his hotel room, he went out looking for a sports bar that was showing the Wildcats match. But he was in Wisconsin, and he couldn't find it being played anywhere. The very last restaurant he checked was Buffalo Phil's. When they said they didn't have the game on, Kevin was furious. He allegedly snuck his way into the manager's office of the restaurant, then used the phone to call the TV provider. He impersonated an employee and had the provider add the Pac-12 network so that he could watch the game. But it didn't take just one call. Kevin made 11 different phone calls to the TV provider until he was finally able to get the channels put on the restaurant's TV. He thought he was so clever that he would never get caught. He watched his game and was very happy with himself. What Kevin didn't count on was a very angry restaurant manager. When the manager realized he was paying more than he should have been for his TV, he started investigating. He learned what had happened. He called the police, and the detectives tracked Kevin down to the car dealership where he worked in Illinois. He was booked on identity theft for financial gain and is now looking at 12 years in prison, all just so he could watch a basketball game. Number 2. The Bottle Thrower. A Celtics fan threw a water bottle at Brooklyn Nets player Kyrie Irving. This happened in May of 2021 and saw the fan get in some serious trouble. Keep in mind, he only threw a water bottle, yet he was charged with assault and battery using a deadly weapon. The suspect was identified by the Boston police as Cole Buckley of Massachusetts. He was subjected to a lifetime ban from the TD Garden and could even be looking at jail time. The incident went down during the first round of the NBA playoffs. As the Nets were walking off the floor after being beaten by Brooklyn, Cole walked over to the tunnel and hefted his water bottle down at them as hard as he could. He didn't actually hit anybody, but was escorted out of the building and arrested anyway. It was the fourth time that same week that fans at NBA games threw something at the players. Apparently, tossing things at basketball players is a major problem in America. Number 1. Barroom Brawl. In November of 2018, an Alabama football fan was fatally beaten while out celebrating at a Tangipahoa parish bar. According to the local police, the officers were called to the bar very early on a Sunday morning in response to a brutal fight. Once there, they discovered 46-year-old Robert Bowers seriously injured. He had been mercilessly assaulted by two men. Firefighters provided medical attention until the ambulance arrived, and then Robert was taken to the North Oaks Medical Center. By Tuesday, he had passed away. Family and friends say that Robert, a resident of Louisiana, was a die-hard fan of the Crimson Tide. He had gone out to watch the Bama vs. LSU game on Saturday night. Then, in celebration, he went to the bar. That was when he got into an argument with the two men over the results of the game. It's believed that Robert's love for the Crimson Tide rubbed these fellows the wrong way. A man named Ryan Anthony blindsided him with a cheap shot, and then Asia Crockett got in on the beating. Both men stomped on Robert while he was helpless on the floor. It was terrible and tragic, and something that should have never happened. Just because Ryan liked a different team than these two guys, they felt compelled to beat him to death. They were both booked in charge of felony manslaughter and can now contemplate what they've done behind bars. Thanks for watching. What's the craziest thing you've ever seen an upset sports fan do in real life? Let us know about it in the comments below. And if you haven't already, remember to hit subscribe for all the best videos from the channel. See you next time. Bye!